Major funding for Virginia Currents is made possible in part by Virginia Tourism Corporation. Love is at the heart of every Virginia vacation, where visitors can connect with those they love doing the things they love to do on vacation. Visit virginia.org to plan your next vacation today.
Coming up on Virginia Currents, busting the myths of epilepsy.
I didn't let the seizures scare me. I didn't worry about when they're going to happen. They're going to happen, they're going to happen. You gotta live life.
And the Richmond Mural Project. See the magical transformations done to Richmond buildings by world-renowned artists. Plus, a simple stone uncovered turns out to be a major historic relic. And cheers to some of Virginia's most popular craft brews. Also, dance along to the Celtic music of Iona. Next on Virginia Currents. Welcome to Virginia Currents. I'm Daphne Maxwell Reed. Epilepsy affects millions of people, yet it's still widely misunderstood. Epilepsy is a medical diagnosis given to someone who has seizures which can range in severity. This video of a tonic-clonic seizure was shared by Joe Struska, who wanted to help us open people's eyes to epilepsy and see that seizures are not to be feared. The person usually comes out of it in less than a minute. Like Joe, Tom McGranahan Jr. also suffered from the ignorance surrounding epilepsy. So he became an advocate and served on Virginia's State Board for People with Disabilities, and he even wrote a book. Since having 2 brain surgeries, Tom's been seizure-free with medication. But for decades, he endured thousands of seizures and escaped death over 20 times, giving him a profound appreciation for life.
I've got a beautiful wife, I've got 2 children, got my own little business. I'm getting as you can see, my mouth is working better again. The words are coming out after my 2 surgeries. So I definitely believe I'm here for a purpose. Playing next door and kicked the ball real good, ran to first base. When he threw the ball, got in between my legs, tripped me up. I spun backwards and landed head first on a corner of a brick. Jumped up real good with the blood flowing out of my head, jumped over the fence going, "Mom, Mom." And it was a couple of months later, I woke up in the hospital and had my first seizure then. It was at night in bed, and I was told my dad got me out, and since he didn't know better, stuck his fingers in my mouth, thinking I'd swallow my tongue. And so I chewed his fingers up pretty good on the way to the hospital. And I wasn't told about it until the next day, and the doctor told me I better take my medicine correctly. If I don't, I could have another seizure. It might be my last days, because I could die from it. When you're a 10-year-old and you hear that from the doctor, of course you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is serious. I could be dead from this. What's going on? But then there'd be no explanations. Nobody talk about it. Nobody bring it up. And that was my first time of finding out how silent epilepsy is kept in our society. They never once put me down on it. My mom was the quiet one. My dad was the loud Irishman. And they never put me down for my epilepsy. They never found me at fault. And I really do believe that has a big, big impact on the individual. Because if they had done that, my self-esteem would have been I would have felt terrible. Because everywhere else I went, everybody else wouldn't even speak about it. I was an outcast. They can't put themselves in my shoes. People can see somebody in a wheelchair and go, click, wow, I know what that'd be like. But having a seizure, losing control, and going through all that thrashing, it's something that, oh gosh, I don't know. You don't want to even think about doing that. It's so belittling, so humbling. But it's really not a big deal. It's just a physical malfunction of the brain and the body, where the brain is getting overloaded by electricity, and it needs a short circuit to get the electricity out and then get back in the swing of things. And so it's not a curse.
Can you guesstimate how many seizures you've had?
It's been over 1,000, a couple thousand roughly. It's very scary. That's what I've been told. It's very scary seeing someone have a seizure. Your body thrashes and moves around. The short circuit electricity is going through the body, and it just makes the body hurt and jerk.
I've seen them, and you just kind of get used to it, and you just got to stay calm. You know, if you get yourself all hyped and upset, and it just makes things worse, you know, because he's had falls where you just kind of fall like a tree, and I just make sure everything's out of the way and move him to the side because you don't want to get choked. So you turn him to the side and you just let him lay there until they come out of it. After it doesn't last long. I want to say
A couple of minutes.
Yeah, a couple minutes, and then it's all over. Then he's calmed down and he sleeps. You know, after he goes through that.
It drains you.
It drains you.
Takes a lot of energy out of you.
We all have control of our consciousness. With epilepsy, you have your consciousness taken away from you. Boom, without any say in it. And that's one of the reasons I think it can be scary. I was on 64 when the seizure occurred. And I'm trying to get off to the side of the road. Finally realizing to do that, but all of a sudden there's a tractor trailer to the right of me, a tractor trailer to the left of me. And I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and there's a car right behind me. And I said, I gotta get out of here. So I floored it so I could get out in front of the truck and go over it. Next thing I know, I woke up. And I was just slumped over and just looking at some trees. I crossed the median strip, hit a car going from New York to the beach full of 11 people, and glanced off of that, then went and ran into some trees. None of them got hurt. That's when I gave up my license for 10 years. One I had, a friend of mine told me when I was doing some paint work, I was on a 40-foot ladder. And I had an aura, which told me something's wrong here. So I came down, I scurried down fast the ladder, I was told, and as soon as I got to the ground, I had a grand mal seizure. I didn't let the seizure scare me. I didn't worry about when they're going to happen. They're going to happen, they're going to happen. You've got to live life. So we all have to, I mean, this is a good challenge. Epilepsy is a really good challenge.
What can trigger an episode?
What causes it is a lot of times when you strain yourself or too much and you're tired, your body's weak from it, or overdo it too much, don't get enough sleep, the brain, they can't handle electrical flow, and that's when the short circuit will happen. But when you get enough rest and you exercise good and you keep a balance, you know how it is, we all know that when we stay up too late, how we'll be burned out and tired and weak from it. Well, that's why you want to be in good shape and not weak at any time. That way your body can stay strong and the seizures will not occur as fast.
And stress too?
Stress also. But exercise is a natural way of getting the body in good shape and also get out all that energy that's just a negative part. In the 90s, medicine, there wasn't that much in the market. There was like 9 different types of medicines at that time. Yeah. And they tried various combinations of certain types for my brain, that section of my brain that's having the trouble. Mm-hmm. Didn't work. Then they tried a couple of drug studies.
That's right. And then the doctor started talking to him about surgery. And of course, we got a little scared about that because we didn't know what to expect. You know, brain surgery, wow.
They take you in the operating room, take out part of the skull and put in a grid and connect about 80 wires to that grid and put the skull piece back on and have you hooked up to some machinery. Yeah. And that way they'd find out from my seizures where they were coming from and they could take care of it. The first time they were unsure and they said, we'll take out a little bit. But then I kept having seizures. A couple of them were status epilepticus type, and that's the type people die from, can die from. That's when you have one seizure after another, they won't stop. And the second set of surgeries, they took out more of the left temporal lobe, a lot more of it. And it was something that's what had me so disarrayed for so many years. My brain had to rewire. The rewiring was really well insofar as how I can best function now and do things. But memories are gone, a lot of memories. They're just taken out. But you've learned to accept a lot of things. Being seizure-free for 17, 18 years, I don't mind not having memory loss. That's a small price to pay to be seizure-free.
Sometimes he looked like he just didn't get it, you know. It was, after the surgeries, he was a little slow, you know. For 5 years, 5, 6 years, I guess.
Sure, just a moment. When I was starting to interact and talking with people, it'd bring up sentences, and the words I'd hear would go in, and then they'd click on all kinds of thoughts, would barrage me relating to that word. And I had to go through deciphering or whatever, going through all this, trying to get it back in order. And there was no planned way to do it. See, she just kept a smile and just let me be myself and didn't put any pressure on me to get faster. Tom, you can do better, this and that. And that made a big difference. It really does. Started going back to work. I went to temp services, and they asked me about my job history, and since it was sporadic due to my epilepsy, I came out and told them I have epilepsy. Due to that, I can't do this or this and that, but I can do this and that. But they wouldn't hire me and give me good work. So I got back in painting. An old friend of mine told me about getting back into it. It's really not that hard, it's time consuming, but it's a good challenge to have. It's something that you see the immediate results. You can put your passion into it when you work for yourself.
I used to say, as much as we've been through, I said, man, Tom, you could write a book, you know? And then all of a sudden, yeah, that sounds good. I think I'll do that.
It'd take me like an hour to write 2 or 3 sentences to start off. Because I was thinking about what to say, I'd have that in my head, what to say, but because of the brain surgery, the language section, I couldn't get it through to my hands and write it down without having all kinds of other thoughts barrage me while I'm trying to write it down. No, like this, like that. And that's what made it take so long. But then I found out by chance later, have someone else help me with the editing. I didn't find that out till like the 8th year of writing. Look at this handsome guy right there. There's a lot of people who have epilepsy feel like outcasts and won't speak up or be quiet. But I couldn't help it. I'm loudmouth. And I had to speak up. I didn't feel at fault for it because it wasn't caused by a negative action or anything. It just happened. Like a lot of disabilities, they happen to us. It's not a matter of choice. What is the matter of choice is how we handle it. We live better than 99.999% of the people that have ever been on this planet, ever. You look at things in a bigger perspective, you realize more about how your gift of life is a treasure.
He's been there for me, and I've been there for him. Yeah. You know, we have all this because we all work together as a team. And, you know, we went through some hard times, but that's what made us tough, made us stronger. And you have people that support you, family and friends.
Many of you remember Tom's father, Tom McGranahan Sr., who recently passed away. He played an essential role on and off stage in Central Virginia, and along with his son Kevin was a big part of the Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death reenactments at St. John's Church in Richmond. When it comes to seizures, many bystanders don't know what to do. Here are some guidelines from the Epilepsy Foundation. Stay calm. Clear the area. Help them lie on their side. Do not hold the person down or put anything in his or her mouth. They cannot swallow their tongue. And time the seizure. If it's longer than 5 minutes, call 911. For more information, go to epilepsy.com. And to find out more about Tom's journey and his book, visit epilepsyintheopen.com. It's street art like you've never seen before. The Richmond Mural Project is a yearly event where top-notch artists from across the globe use various Richmond buildings as canvases for massive, magnificent murals. It's a 5-year undertaking by RVA Magazine and Art Rhino Gallery to make Richmond a premier art destination while serving as a catalyst for change in some areas of disrepair. So far, this open-air museum has nearly 50 eye-catching murals throughout the city, with over 60 additional murals on the way. Here now is a snapshot of some of the magical transformations.
The Richmond Mural Project is an ongoing project to bring art into the public space, inspire creativity, create dialogue, and show diversity.
The Richmond Mural Project, I think, is the best way to describe it, is ambitious. But it sounds like everybody in the city seems to really like it, and they're really welcoming. So, yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a real success.
I guess it spreads awareness to our kind of art, which is, I guess, it's street art. You know, I don't like to use that word, but for us that like to paint walls out in public, for everyone to see, rather than having a gallery where people go to an opening and, you know, it feels all bougie or whatever. Like, you could just roll up in a bike and check it out, you know what I mean?
people will come to the parking lot and they'll see this amazing mural, and then they'll be like, you know, what is this all about? And they'll get inspired, and you know, they might pick up a pen and start sketching on a napkin or a piece of paper. And I think that's just kind of your mind telling you, you know, maybe you can do this. It's, for me, the most important project I've ever done, and I think it's because it kind of grew organically. You know, I did the G40, it happens every year, but from talking to the business owners and talking to the people, everybody wanted this to happen. Everybody was supportive, and they were like, this is amazing, and this is going to make an already amazing town even more amazing. Usually when we do these shows, I try to curate a broad range of artists that would appeal to different people, from angry panda bears to you know, woman in a jar.
I don't consider myself a graffiti artist. I just like to be called a painter, you know? When people saw an angry panda, it kind of like messed with their thoughts a little bit, because you never see angry panda. It was a kind of cool accident that started in 2003. I was painting a grizzly bear and I didn't have the right paint. So I did a sketch of a grizzly bear, but I threw a panda colorway on him, and it you know, every time I paint it, people trip out on it. So I kind of like doing it. I just like what Shane's doing, you know, here, and I'm just honored to be part of it. Big shout out to Richmond, you know, it's awesome to be here. I'm basically a foreigner in their neighborhood, so I want to come in respecting it, you know.
Everybody who's in the project understands that this is a family-friendly project. This is a project that should be for a 5-year-old kid to a 90-year-old person. It should be broad-ranging, and it should bring happiness. You know, it shouldn't be pieces that ask about political questions, religious questions. You know, there's a place for that, but I think for the murals, you want it to be something that just brings joy when you see it.
If you look at Ever's piece right across on the other side of Club 534, you know, there's 4 figures there. They're all of different races and different genders, and that's important for people to see. You know, that's what's important for people to feel when they live here, that everybody's included, and through art you can do that. You know, there's other ways of doing it, but the only way I understand it is through art. Art is a way of communicating between 2 people that I've never met, and I love it when I meet somebody that actually had done the piece. So it means a lot to me that I met these guys and was watching them work and asking them questions and getting to know them as people. So it really gave me a depth of like, beyond the aesthetics and how great it is, but I actually met somebody from another country. These guys are from Poland that had never been here before.
We've done pieces in Jackson Ward where, you know, we look at the history behind Jackson Ward. You know, Jackson Ward with a deep entertainment and music background, and so, you know, there it was absolutely necessary to do a piece that looked at the history, but looked at the history with a little bit of a flair of the artist. And I think when you have that balance, it actually unifies a lot of things, such as the history in an area. It also unifies, you know, the questions of, you know, what is art, you know, what is this type of genre, and I think, you know, it kind of breaks down barriers, and it lets you enjoy art for what it should be, which is to connect with you.
When I posted this picture on Instagram, within 1 hour I had people from South Africa, from China, from Eastern Europe, Latin America, all commenting on how great they thought this was, and they didn't know where Richmond, Virginia was. So at what point does the established art world embrace this work, and what is its place in art history? You know, I'm very curious about that myself. You know, we're kind of living it. I think as time goes by and you can look back on it, it'll be a real footnote, you know, in the progression of the art conversation. I think Richmond's in need of new monuments and new symbols of progress. You know, we have all the monuments on Monument Avenue. They're all great. They're all beautiful. They all stand for something. I think with the murals and future art projects, that allows for kind of new symbols. People that are younger, they want to see progressive, creative things. The hope is when they see a mural like the one behind me, that they'll get a sense that Richmond is moving into the future. It's not that we're forgetting the past, but it's just that we are moving to be more inclusive and be more dynamic. And that's part of the mission of RVA Magazine, is to make sure that we are promoting the good stuff that's happening, the great music, the great art, great culture in general. And the Richmond Mural Project falls right in with that.
For mural locations, go to rvamag.com and search Richmond Mural Project. Follow Instagram daily updates and make sure you tag any photos you post on Instagram with hashtag Richmond Mural Project. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? It's a customary chant for family road trips. Nearly 200 years ago, parents relied on road stones, not GPS devices, to provide the answer. These stone mile markers are few and far between now. So when a Chesterfield County resident accidentally uncovered one, there was great excitement at the Virginia Department of Transportation.
Every day, thousands of people travel along Route 1 between Petersburg and Richmond. They drive past supermarkets, gas stations, and businesses with bright signs competing to capture the eye of each passerby. By contrast, these white stones don't command attention like their more colorful, extroverted neighbors. But there once was a time when travelers welcomed the sight of these modest markers. In the 1820s, they were placed along the side of what was one of Virginia's earliest examples of a state-financed road, the Manchester-Petersburg Turnpike.
This was considered somewhat of a superhighway of the era. It was a broken stone pavement, as they used to say, so they would put gravel down and roll it to make a much harder and much more level pavement than you had in just most of the county roads. About a century after the initial construction of the Manchester to Petersburg Turnpike, you have the route being repaired, upgraded, to some extent realigned. Now, of course, this eventually becomes one of the major north-south routes when Route 1 is improved during the early 20th century.
Possibly due to these realignments and improvements, the majority of the turnpike's milestones have disappeared. So when a local resident personally delivered one to the Virginia Department of Transportation's Richmond District Office, VDOT employees took special notice. The stone had apparently been broken from its base when struck by a vehicle. Eventually, the stone's base was found when excavation work was done for a nearby store. It was then that Nick Freilich and his colleagues knew they had a unique opportunity to preserve a piece of Virginia's history.
Because of the condition of the stone, we did not want to do anything that would sort of compromise the integrity of the stone in terms of what would probably be typical restoration work. Anything such as drilling the stone or pinning the stone. We didn't want to do that. We secured the services of the master stone carver who did some carving work to kind of prepare a new foundation, and it's through his services and skills that we were able to have the stone reinstalled.
The master stone carver, Tim Johnston, of Manassas Granite and Marble, delivered the stone and its new foundation back to the original site and performed the reinstallation.
This is properly a milestone. The milestones usually have a very small amount of text on them. The main point is that it is X number of miles to a certain place.
The reinstalled stone faces the old Manchester-Petersburg Turnpike and bears the inscription, "To Manch, 6 miles." Modern signs now line this stretch of Route 1, but for those who take the time to look, this restored milestone provides a tangible reminder of one of Virginia's first ventures into state-funded transportation, nearly 2 centuries ago.
I have certainly not done any work like this before. It's kind of a unique project. I think the stone now is kind of a lasting memory for the next generations.
In Virginia, there are about 20 early roadstones identified in the state right-of-way. To find out more, go to virginiadot.org/roadstones. Virginia is for lovers, lovers of many experiences like music, the outdoors, and craft beer. In the last few years, Virginia has had an upswing in award-winning craft breweries. Legend Brewing Company in Richmond has been crafting German-style beer since 1994. They're able to boast one of the best views of the Richmond skyline. Travel northwest about 100 miles and visit Devil's Backbone at the foot of Wintergreen. Their chalet was restored from a dilapidated barn. In the rolling foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains is Starr Hill in Crozet, just a stone's throw away from many local wineries. Starr Hill has earned nearly 20 medals for its core seasonal and limited edition brews. In Salem, Parkway Brewing Company has a 30-barrel brew house making distinctive ales for the discriminating beer enthusiast. And check out Lost Rhino in Loudoun County, where the brewers from Old Dominion have come together to create some of the finest beers around. For more information, visit virginia.org. Today's spotlight on Virginia music shines on Iona, a group based in Northern Virginia. Formed in 1986, this pan-Celtic group has released 11 albums and energizes audiences with dancing, storytelling, and authentic Celtic music from regions like Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and Brittany, France. We leave you now with a clip of Prisoner of Nantes that's sung in Gallo, a dialect of French. It's a 17th century tale of a prisoner being set free by his jailer's daughter in Nantes, France. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to watch more Virginia Currents for more inspiring stories. I'm Daphne Maxwell Reid.
Dans les prisons de Nantes, l'on dididididon, didididon, didididon. Dans les prisons de Nantes, il y avait un prisonnier. Personne ne le vint voir, l'on didididon, didididon, dididon, didididon. Personne ne le vint voir, que la fille du geôlier, que la fille du geôlier.
Major funding for Virginia Currents is made possible in part by Virginia Tourism Corporation. Love is at the heart of every Virginia vacation, where visitors can connect with those they love doing the things they love to do on vacation. Visit virginia.org to plan your next vacation today.